This one is a similar kind of problem, but this time it says to find the reduced row echelon form.
Yes, so that means that we're going the whole way?
The whole way. So
Whoa.
1's in the diagonal, 0's up above and below. And it's not that much more work than it is to find row echelon
You would think,
form.
but it actually is. Once you get your row echelon form, the reduction part actually, it really isn't that bad because you've done most of the work.
Right. And so what you want to do, kind of like what we did last time, you want to start off by getting a 1 in the first column, 0's below, the 1 in the second column, and then the 0 up above and below.
Right.
And you always want to start off getting the 1 in a column because you're going to use that to get the zeros.
Right.
So let's start off and write this as our augmented matrix.
And make sure, again, as with the previous problem, if you run into errors when you're doing this, double check to make sure that you wrote the augmented matrix down correctly. It's almost impossible to go through all of your work and find that single mistake.
It can be really difficult without comparing it to somebody else's work that has already done it correctly. So we already have a 1 in the top left. That's great. So we're going to do row operations to get zeros below that 1. And so anytime you want a 0, I can't stress this enough, you use the row that already has a 1.
Right.
You multiply by negative of whatever you need. So right here's a 3. So
negative 3.
Yeah.
Negative 3.
Negative 3, row 1 plus row 2. Okay, now, and we're only changing row 2, remember? We're going to use row 1, okay, but we're not going to change it. All right.
And we're not changing the last row. That's why Mrs. Stevenson is writing it down.
So we're going to do negative 3 times 1 plus 3. That gives us 0.
Yes.
Negative 3 times 2.
Negative 6.
Plus 7.
Negative 1.
Negative 6 plus 7 is 1.
That's why it says 1.
Okay. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3 plus a negative 3.
0. I knew that one.
Okay. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9 plus 12.
3.
Okay. Now, it really, like this 0 is here, and that could work out really nicely for us, but it may not. Like,
it might not.
So don't look too far ahead and be like, oh, there's a 1 here.
Hey, yes, I got a 0.
Yeah.
Woo.
It really just, you have to go in order, and you can potentially mess up something that looks like it's going to be good.
This is not a Rubik's Cube.
So,
follow the pattern the whole way.
Isn't that like a Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, but on a Rubik's Cube, you're going like, oh, I got that one red deal over here, and you try and get to it. Yeah,
okay.
You don't want to mess it up.
So now I want to get rid of this 2. So this is negative 2 times row 1 plus row 3.
And so rows 1 and 2 don't change. You know what? I think if you just tap part of the screen cap, it goes away. Maybe there it goes. Okay.
What am I doing? Oh, this is going to stay the same.
0, 1, 0, 3.
So we're going to do 2 times negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, plus 2 is 0. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, plus negative 4 is negative 8.
Yes.
Negative 2
almost
times
said
negative
0
2 is 2, plus 3 is 5. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Negative 6 minus 5 is negative 11. Okay. So it does look like this 1 is set there, like that
Leave
worked
the
out
one
really
there.
nice.
It's going to work out great. But
And
we don't know that until we get to this point.
Right. Now that we're done with the first column, now we can move on and say I've got the 1 there. So now we want to get a 0 here where this 2 is and a 0 where the negative 8 is. It doesn't matter which one we do first. In fact, we could do it both at the same time.
Oh, I don't know about that. That sounds crazy.
What you would do is you'd say, well, for the first row, we need negative 2 times row 2 plus row 3. Okay? And then for the bottom row, we need to times by 8. So 8 times row 2. Did I say? I meant row 1 there.
Yeah, row 1. I was watching but not correcting, and I'm sorry about that. That's row 1.
Because this one's
row
row
3 is on the bottom, yeah.
Okay, so that should make sense. We need a negative 2 to cancel out on row 1. We need an 8 to cancel out on row 3. So we're going to do those one at a time. We're just only going to rewrite the matrix once.
So the middle row doesn't change at all. So you just slap it in there.
Okay, and so here we want to do negative 2 times row 2. So 0 plus 1 is still 1, which is good. That's what we want. Okay, negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, plus 2 is 0. Negative 2 times 0 is 0, plus negative 1.
Negative 1. Okay, man, I got these.
And then negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, plus 3.
Negative 3. Man, I'm on it. I'm so on it, K-Steve 320.
Right. So now let's do 8 times row 2 and add it to row 3.
Okay.
So 8 times 0 is 0, plus 0 is 0.
That's all zeros.
8 times 1 is 8, plus negative 8 is 0.
Right.
8 times 0
That's
plus
0.
5.
That's 5. 0 plus 5 is 5.
Right.
If I have 0 and add
Okay.
5, I've got 5.
You're right. 8 times 3 is 24, minus 11,
13.
13.
Well, how do I get that 0 up there where the negative 1 is? I don't understand.
Okay, well, first, we're done with the second column, and so right now we need to sit here and get the 1 first.
We're going to get the 1 first, so we
Yeah.
have to divide by 5.
Right. See, and that's the way you get ones. Unless you can switch rows to get ones, which at this late in the game,
We're not
switching
switching
rows
rows.
is not going to happen. So anytime that happens that you need a 1, you multiply
By the reciprocal.
by the reciprocal. So we want to multiply this by 1/5. And to do that, we have to multiply that whole row.
Yeah, and don't forget here, again, common mistake number 1 is to forget that 13. You don't want to do that in this case.
No, you don't. That'd be terrible.
It'd be horrible. It'd be like cats and dogs living together.
Yeah. So, only row 3 changes here. And when we do 1/5 times 13, that's 13/5. I assigned Mr. Hazelwood the task of plugging this in to make sure we did it right. Because I don't know if that fraction, it's kind of a warning sign to me personally, but we're going to check and see. If that is right, then now our last step, because we've got a 0 here already, we just need to finish off and get a 0 up in this top right corner. And so to do that, we just need to add row 3 and row 1. And we're trying to replace row 1, so that's what goes second. But we don't need to multiply it by anything. So 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 plus 0 is 0. 1 plus negative 1 is 0. 13/5
13/5.
plus a negative 3
We're in there.
gives us, does it give us negative 2/5 if we do?
It better.
Yeah, because
everything else is
negative
correct.
3 would be negative 15 over 5. So yeah, that gives us negative 2/5. And then 0, 1, 0, 3, and then 0, 0, 1, 13 over 5. So the beauty of this, even though it was a little more work, is now we know the answer.
We know the answer without having to do anything else. And you know what? You have to do this work. We did this work anyway on the other problem. We just had the variables in there. So, but in this case, we worked it out inside the matrix.
And if you're not comfortable skipping or like doing the 2 steps at once like I did, that's fine. If you are comfortable doing that, then it really is like there's almost not any more
Right.
space taken up on your
Right,
page.
right. There you go.
So that is reduced row echelon form.